Hi everyone, delonewolf here. Welcome back to the Sunday recap, my weekly vlog where I talk a little bit about my last week in games. And first of all, we've got some EVE Online. I think I managed to play around average when it comes to EVE Online. It's still very busy at my work, but I for some reason found a bit of extra energy after I got home from work. So it's mostly been the regular stuff. So keeping up with the blueprint copy business is something that I definitely do check on every day. And I think I've been to Jita 3 times or something like that to refresh the contracts there. It's going really well, but I am trying to diversify a little bit. So my best selling blueprint copies at the moment are the copies for the Raitaru and the Citadel. So those do go up in price from time to time, and so now you can still sell them for like 10 million and things like that, which makes you a nice little profit. The next set that I'm selling mostly are still parts of the structures, so components, but I'm also trying to diversify into some other service modules such as the laboratories, the manufacturing installations, the launchers, ECM modules, things like that. It's a bit tricky to find the right types of blueprint copies to make. Basically for the labs you want single run copies. That's basically what gets sold the most, because people are not going to bother with making 5-6 labs. But for the defenses you need to find the right type of blueprint copy, maybe 3-4 launchers, ECM modules also in the same vein. It's not always 5, which is what I use for the regular blueprint copies of components of the structures. But yeah, that's been basically a little bit of exploration there. And next to that, of course, I tried out the new probe scanning window, so I did a little bit of exploration in the Ishtar, but I also did some mining in the Orca. Now that we can see that the minerals are going up, I think it's actually okay to do a little bit of mining, get back to building up our stocks. And my hope is that we'll see a big war and that we will actually start to see some of those minerals go up in price substantially, so that we can make a little bit of a profit on the stocks that we've been building up. I've been actually buying a little bit of titanium at under 4 ISK. That's gone now, that opportunity, but that should make me a little bit of money. I've also been stacking up a little bit of pyrite and isogen, and of course I've not been selling the ores and minerals that I've been mining. Other than that, right now I'm mostly waiting for changes. Of course, we've got FanFest coming up where we should get a new roadmap, lots of information, that should be good. And of course CCP also dropped a tiny bombshell where they are explaining their future plans to change Plex basically into an item that is 500 Plex. So 1 Plex is going to be 500 Plex. This should allow them to get rid of Aurum entirely, and of course then provide different services for those cheaper Plex, make discounts and things like that. All possible, which I think is an okay change. It should be value neutral, to be honest. So some people are speculating on some sort of CSM leak because of the movement of price of Plex going up all of a sudden. But I actually think that people that jump on that bandwagon may end up holding the bag on a currently downwards trending Plex market. So I actually think that it would be a little bit of a mistake to try and ride that hype train. Other than that, I'll see, maybe I'll make a full analysis video on the dev blog itself. Yeah, for now, for next week, first of all, we'll have the latest mass test that I joined last week as well, and you'll get the recording of that. Next up, we have a little bit of Overwatch. I only played a couple of games, but I did want to get some Bastion time in there to try and see what he feels like now when you're trying to have basically an offensive Bastion. It's not easy. I would basically almost see that as a counter pick when things are going badly, because the enemy has so many tanks. For instance, if you're dealing with Roadhog and a second tank, maybe a Diva or something like that, that is constantly being healed by an Ana, and you get to push that payload, you're just not getting through there, then the Bastion can be the answer there. And well, it's not that great. Actually, a soldier probably does the same job a little bit better, but the main reason why I wanted a little bit of Bastion time in is because next week Orisa should come to the live servers of Overwatch. She's yet another tank, yet more barriers, and yeah, getting in on a little bit of Bastion could actually be the right answer against all of those picks that are obviously going to start out with an enormous amount of Orissas playing in Overwatch next week. I definitely also am planning to check out the game next week when Orisa comes to the game to see what kind of effect it has on the meta. Maybe try and pick the hero myself a couple of times as well, because it's always interesting to try and learn a hero by playing her as well. You can mostly, in my experience, I just get cut down so quickly on a new hero that I learn their weaknesses and then I learn their counter picks. And I actually think that the Bastion changes with his ability now to basically go out of sentry mode and then heal himself while moving is pretty important. It's pretty damn cool. You can try to escape when you're called out, but he still feels pretty weak once someone with a little bit of sustained damage is actually going after you like a soldier, like a Genji. You know, you don't have the mobility to escape a Genji or anything like that, but if the other team is tank heavy, then he can sometimes be the right counter pick to try and break the stalemate. And finally we have Path of Exile, so I still played a little bit more on my Frost Witch, especially like I would say the first half of the week. I found a little bit of extra time to do some more grinding on the Frost Witch. I think she's really good. Double Glacial Cascade is very powerful, and I actually played with Zyhark, so we got to chat a little bit over Steam, and you know, he had a character, a Templar, that was at around the same level as my Frost Witch, and we went after Malachi and finishing up the final act there on the first difficulty setting just together, which was really quite a nice experience. I mean, he had a much more powerful character than me, so we blasted through everything very quickly, but yeah, it was a very nice experience, and I do think that the Frost Witch is very cool to play as, but the way I've built her is, of course, she lacks tank. She's just too much of a glass cannon. I got very lucky with some boots that I got that gave her movement speed, but I can already see in the later difficulty levels that I would get into a lot of trouble because of my lack of tankiness. I could try to build around that, get more life, get the damage, 30% damage on the mana pool and things like that to try and make me a bit more tanky, but my actual plan is to basically stop playing the Frost Witch at this point. It was a lot of fun, very nice experience, and it's probably a viable build if you can try and incorporate a bit more tankiness in there, but I'm actually looking at trying something like a Fire Witch next. Looking at the skill, the passive skill tree, I think it's gonna be a bit easier to create a powerful Fire Witch so that I have more room to build up a little bit of tankiness. I just don't really know what spells. Glacial Cascade is an absolutely amazing spell, but that is probably going to be like my next plan in Overwatch. One thing that I don't know yet is the timing, because we are getting like a little bit more information, or I got a little bit more information on their plans for this summer, which is to actually add a lot of acts and get rid of the difficulty settings completely, which would make a massive change to the game. For me, it sounds very interesting, because that repetitiveness of having to do the same content 3 times to me is not very fun. I think it's maybe the one not good aspect in Path of Exile. The rest of it is absolutely amazing, incredible skill system. It works pretty damn well at the moment with performance, in my opinion, and free to play with the best monetization model out there. So I'm probably planning to get back into some serious Path of Exile when the next major patch with those changes come out, where basically you don't have to grind through the same content 3 times to get to a max level or an end game character and get starting on the end game map system. So I look forward to that, and that's probably when I'll pick up some more Path of Exile, because on the 31st of March, I think Season 10 for Diablo is coming out. I'm obviously going to quickly play that one with a character of my choice, and after that we actually have Stellaris expansion coming, then we've got FanFest coming, and then later on, I mean, there's still Shadow of War that I'm looking forward to. Maybe we'll get into a Quake Champions beta. There's so much stuff to do that I actually like the fact that I enjoyed the Frost Witch so much over the course of 2 weeks. Next up, basically, it'll be a little bit of Orisa, probably a little bit of Diablo, things like that. And yeah, we'll keep gaming, and we'll keep you guys informed with videos. So that's gonna be it for this Sunday recap. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.